Hello, everyone who is joining us for this webinar today, June 23rd. This is SACC-LA, which is the Swedish-American Chamber of Commerce. My name is Gudrun Giddings. I'm the president and chair of the organization. I just want to welcome all of you and live all over the world. I hear a bunch of clicks, which means that probably people are clicking on, which I'm excited about. We have a lot of attendees. So before I start introducing our absolutely amazing guests today, I'm just gonna let our audience know that we cannot see you, we cannot hear you, but I do want you to please pose questions during this 1 hour thing. I'm gonna try to break a little bit earlier than we did last time on our webinar, so I can get to all your questions. We've done this twice, and we always have had a lot of questions for our guests. So please send them in. You can text them. You'll find a little box on your right-hand side of the computer or on your smartphone, and it says, questions. You just click on that. And again, if you want to be anonymous, you can. If you want to just put your first name or however you want to be visible there, please do. It's all fine. I will take a look at those throughout this hour, but most likely get to most towards the end, just so you guys know. And I will try to get all of them if I possibly can. So please do that. If you miss something or find something, be interactive with us. We like it. I love when people send the questions. So I'm just going to introduce our wonderful guests today that we have, all in support of the Swedish-American Chamber of Commerce and people that why don't we start with Magnus Lygdback, just going here from what I see on the screen, for me at least. Magnus, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a trainer, personal trainer and nutritionist, life coach, entrepreneur, and I'm 41 years old soon. And I lived in the US for about 10 years.
Yes, and not only that, he is, I'm going to be bragging about all these wonderful three guests. Magnus, you're very humble when you're saying that. He's a superstar trainer, one of the best in the world. He actually our very fancy prized Elias and Merit Award in December 2019. Time we saw Magnus live up at a very nice party that we had in the Hollywood Hills. So welcome, Magnus. Great to have you, and we'll talk more. And I will brag as I usually do, because I'm not bragging for the sake of bragging. I'm bragging because I am impressed. Michaela is the next one on my screen, at least. So please.
Well, hello. I'm the president and CEO of Mentor Foundation USA. We are an NGO working to empower youth and prevent substance use. I've been here in the United States since I was 19 years old, and I'm not going to disclose my age, but I would say that I've almost spent as much time in Sweden as here in the United States now. So I feel very, very Americanized.
Yeah. Welcome, Michaela. Also, I mean, a wonderful organization that was actually founded by Her Majesty Queen Silvia of Sweden and the World Health Organization. And you run the chapter here for the United States, which is not a small country to run it for. So, and I know, we have collaborated with mentors, so I know a lot about them, and I'm part of them as well. And I think they're fantastic, and they're doing a lot of very, very important work, and not just in the United States, but all over the world. Michaela represents the United States. So I'm so glad that we could have you as well, here today. So, yeah. And then Linus, that I see as well, that's been doing quite well since he arrived to the United States, that I also know as a friend. So Linus, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you work and what you're doing.
Thank you so much. Lovely introduction. So my name is Linus. I'm 32 years old. I moved to LA when I was 19. Right after high school, I opened up the first Hästens location they're called the Sleep Spa in Beverly Hills, which grew to be the best-selling Hästens store on the planet. We now have 3 more in California, and I'm actually in New York right now, where we expanded and bought our 4th location on Upper East Side on Madison Avenue. And I had a number of companies in between, messed up and lost a lot of money, fortunately my own money, but I've been doing all this stupid stuff, trying to find the right thing, and I feel like I finally found something that's working, and I'm really excited. And throughout this crazy time, our business have been doubling, which has been rare to say for any company, but we've been very fortunate throughout the last few months in the pandemic.
People need to sleep on something well, since they've been spending all their lives at home, correct?
Absolutely. Like what happened to us, just to give a longer answer, is that people were so afraid of us. My friends would call me. We signed the $95,000 a month lease in New York, and everything closed down. But what happened was that people actually, in our case, started to care more about sleep than they ever done throughout the pandemic. So we went from being a business that would have been maybe going bankrupt with hundreds of thousands all the time, going out in fixed costs, but we were able to beat that and perform really well. So very lucky and very grateful.
Yeah. No, I mean, and this is what we're all talking about today, and we want to sort of inspire ourselves and the audience. And like you said as well, Linus, that you dabbled in a lot of things and lost some money, and maybe the businesses didn't do well. You know, I think that is part of succeeding and doing well. You absolutely have to. There is no other way of doing it. We all can't just take a shot and succeed at everything we do. We just have to try, and that's what we're going to do, because it's been a weird time. And even if it wouldn't have been a pandemic, I think it is still interesting to see how people find what they're doing and that they're good at and what they like doing and all of those things. So with that, I'm actually going to start asking these questions and just have a casual conversation about it. And maybe then go back to Magnus, which is doing a lot of things. And not only that he is the superstar personal trainer, and what by star I'm saying because he is actually a celebrity trainer. You'll find out during this hour. But he's also an entrepreneur, Magnus. You also started businesses, and you run businesses and have branding, and you do a lot of other things than just, you know, wellness and training. So how did you get into that? Were you like Linus, where you tried a bunch of things before, or did you know that this is what you wanted to do when you were a teenager? Like, how did you get into this? Like, because not everybody can do it.
Well, you know, I always been into training. I've been doing a lot of different sports. So sports and physical activity has always been a big part of my life. But you know, I didn't know when I was a teenager that I wanted to work as a personal trainer. I tried a few different things. I've been a tour guide. I've been, you know, I've started companies, and I've dabbled with a lot of things, and 9 times out of 10 I failed. And like Linus said, you know, I think that's an important part of my journey as well, all the failure that made me grow. And but when I got into training, I realized that it was a wonderful thing, that I could actually help people to get stronger and feel better and take them from darkness into light. And I think that's why I do what I do. And I would say all my other businesses are in synergy with that. So I have a clothing collab with Casal, the Swedish brand, and I'm a partner in a healthcare insurance company, and I do online training. I'm about to open my first facility here in LA.
Really?
So whatever I do, it's something that's in synergy with what I do. And you know, it's all about helping people to get stronger and better and healthier and happier, I guess.
Yeah, we have all actually, we have a common thread. This was, I didn't think of this when I approached you, all three. We have, you know, sleep is important for health. What Michaela and Mentor is doing is all about health and all of that. And then Magnus with his From Darkness to Light. I'm going to use that one, Magnus. And I love the fact that you're going to open a facility. That's exciting. You have to let us know so we can help you out with that and get a lot of people coming there, standing in line to get in. So that's exciting.
Yes, I'll tell you more about it when you're ready.
When I'm ready, exactly. So thank you. And again, then the same question to Michaela. You know, like, how in the world did you find Mentor? Was it, did you have the intention of doing something like this with your life, or, you know?
I would say that I never really thought about the nonprofit industry as my future career or my future job. But almost every job that I ever had came from being in the right place, the right time, meeting the right people, and in essence, networking. So about 10 years ago, I went to a reception at the Swedish ambassador's residence in DC, the Swedish mafia, and then I sent my resume around. I was looking for something new, and it ended up on the chairman's desk of Mentor International. I brought in for an interview, and I was hired as the second person in the organization to really develop its presence in Washington, D.C. And just like Magnus mentioned, everything he's done has been very different, but been some synergy in it. Same thing with me. I work for defense contracting firms, doing marketing and development and also organizational structure. I worked at Red Bull in Stockholm before, doing product placements and sales in 120 stores. But every position I've had, even Mentor included, has that essence of developing, of taking something smaller and making it bigger, which always interested me. And with Mentor comes the added benefit that I'm doing something good for the community as well. So in essence, networking got me where I am today, but it's always been a synergy between the different jobs that I've held.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It's always interesting. I did not know all about those things, Michaela. So thank you for sharing. I think you find your ways, I guess. So the same with Linus. Well, what were some of those businesses that you tried out, Linus, when you came over here at 19? Like, I mean, the tour guide we now know from Magnus, and you know, but what did you try, and how did you find Hästens of all companies?
Yeah, so my first one is this was 2007. So the bed of nails, spikmatta in Swedish, was a big thing, and 750,000 sold in Sweden. So I got the license in California, and I was like going to the Ferrari store, like picking out colors, thinking like, I'm gonna kill it. This is so epic. I have the license for spikmatta in California, and I started selling them. And I was selling them for $70, and I went all around to yoga studios, and a lot of them accepted selling it, and my price again was $70. After about 2 months, and I was so excited, feeling so badass, Walmart started selling them for $30, which was less than I even paid for them. So I went like super bankrupt really quick, and that was like one funny one. I still have a lot of spikmattor. If someone needs one, you can always DM me. And other things I was doing is I had an art gallery both in Los Angeles and in Seoul. So I was in the art business for 5 years and traveled around the world to New York and Switzerland and Paris and doing that. And most recently I had a development company, developed games for Warner Brothers and Suicide Squad, and we turned art and museum exhibitions into VR and AR experiences, which is a company called VRt Ventures, which is still in existence, but kind of regrouping a little bit. But in short, when you're leaving something, it means it doesn't make money.
And how did you find Hästens? I mean, how did you think of it?
So Hästens for me was when I came here when I was 19. I knew that Hästens existed in Sweden. I did not know, I wasn't really familiar with it on a personal level, but I knew how fantastic it was. And coming to LA and seeing the demographic, and being from a small town in Sweden, Karlstad, 100,000 people. I know Magnus, not from the biggest city either. You're like, wow, this is epic, this is cool. So I had these big dreams. So I wanted to expose this world to Hästens. So we started with one location and built from there. And like anything, the first 10 years we were being beaten up. It was bad. People come in like $10,000 for a mattress. It's crazy. Like no one wanted it. It was like we felt like we were thieves. They didn't like it at all. And now we would have 5-10 people coming in and buying beds for $50,000 every day. But it's always about, you know, changing perception and having a vision for something. And
Yeah.
most of the times I'm wrong, but this one actually works. I'm so excited.
Good. Well, I actually think that all three of your endeavors that you're doing is working. Also, Magnus, just so we don't forget, I'm a little bit curious of your app that is very successful online. Like everybody that I talk to, they're all talking about your app and doing all the exercises on there. So can you just share that and how you got started with that one? I guess, I mean, it seems common sense, especially these days, you know, that you have it virtually and all of that. But what is it and what is it called and how can I get it before I come and train at the actual location?
If you go on magnusmethodapp.com, it will take you straight to my channel. And I started 2.5 years ago, and online training and hybrid data, as we call it, which means that you go to physical location, but you can also tap in online. It's the future. I mean, there's no way around it. And so I started 2.5 years ago, and I have different programs for different you know, goals and people. And there's gym programs. I put all my superhero programs there as well. So if I work on a movie and I become Lara Croft, I'll you know, we'll create that program and I'll put it on the app so everyone can get access to it. So for me, it came pretty naturally because I you know, I have a broad audience and a following from all over the world. They're not, you know, specific from LA or from US or Sweden. So going online takes you worldwide right away. So yeah, and it's been you know, during the pandemic, it's been doing really well, and it's still growing. And I mean, sky's the limit. There's a lot of people walking this earth who needs help with nutrition and training. So
right, and just and also for all our, yeah. Sorry, Magnus. It breaks up a little bit on you, just in case.
Oh.
Yeah.
You want me to?
No. I'm just gonna say to the people when it froze a little bit that if you want to look, if you all know who Alicia Vikander is, the actress that played Lara Croft, that was when you were just saying that you created the superhero app, you know, like those are available on this app that you have, if I understand it correctly.
Yeah, superhero programs, but there's programs for you know, everyone on the app. So there's programs and workouts you can do at home with no equipment. And you know, not everyone wants to be a superhero, so there's something for everyone on the app.
Well, I'm going for the superhero thing, Magnus. I know not everybody, and I do know the app. You do have a lot of great exercises there as well. And for our audience, including for all of you three panelists, we will, you know, send out, when we send out via our channels, our newsletters, where most got this invitation from, and in our social media as well, we will make sure that you get the links to, you know, Hästens and mentors, and to Magnus and his apps and all of those things, just so it's easy for everybody to be able to follow you and get in touch with you and all of those things. Because I think it is fun, you know. And further down as well, I want to talk further about this, Magnus, about not only physical health, but mental health and eating correctly, and, you know, all of those things that are also important. So it's not just the muscles, it's also how it makes you feel inside. But I also want to ask a question, since we are all Swedish, all of us, though, you know, we're here and we are the Swedish-American Chamber of Commerce. When you all arrived from Sweden, and maybe not just then, but even to date, what are some of the more recognizable differences, you would say, cultural differences when it comes to business, that you have experienced, either that you think are great or things that can be a challenge? If that makes sense, like meaning like, I always assume that business is business and everything is always the same, but there is a certain difference of how business are conducted and how you contact people, for example, or marketing is very different, I think, in the United States compared to Sweden, because of the proud factor. I would say that Americans are much more, proud or whatever in regards to putting out their product or whatever they're doing. Anything that comes to mind for any one of you?
I'm happy sharing.
Challenges or differences, like how to treat people, like for example, I have heard this. Working in Sweden, it's usually very a flat landscape, like a lot of people decide together. In the United States, there is a tendency to have the hierarchy. You have one boss, and then they have a bunch of bosses under them, and then it sort of trickles down, and there's a lot of, like, the boss decides and the assistants do not, if that makes sense. Have you experienced anything like that?
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's way more micromanaging and more unflexible here, I would say. And in Sweden, it's more flat, like you said, and we're not afraid to speak our mind if we're under someone. But at the same time, I mean, who am I to say that this system doesn't work or one system's better than the other? I do believe in the Swedish system, but yeah, sometimes I do think it's a little too much of a hierarchy here.
Yeah, it's not so much, I think for any one of us or on this panel to decide if it's either right or wrong, or if it's working or not, but more of like maybe challenges, because sometimes I think we do have a lot of Europeans, and especially Northern Europeans, like the Scandinavian countries, tuning in for this one. It's evening and Tuesday, but they're still on looking at this, and we at the chamber have a lot of questions about how is it, what is the differences when they come here, or they want to start up a business, or they want to work here. So that's why I'm usually trying to answer those questions, meaning that you have to go to a decision maker. It's interesting that you also say micromanagement, because I've gotten a lot of feedback over the years. I was just curious if there was something that works easier, or if there's a challenge coming here. In my profession, you have to structure email a certain way, and we're in LA, me and Magnus, at least for now, so we have a lot of people that we're dealing with in the entertainment industry, and there's always a business culture, I think, to these things. Yes.
And I can chime in on this too, because for my experience in working with organization, I think this goes over every organization in the United States compared to America or Sweden, is liability and the legal consequences you have in the United States versus Sweden. You have to consider liability in everything that you do, and it limits the way you interact with people. Having the mentorship is just a beautiful example of that, where Sweden has a completely different program when it comes to mentoring than we do here in the United States, because of liability reasons and because the legal counsel that has recommended us. So I think even the questions of what you can ask in a job interview, it separates completely from Sweden to the United States. There's so many limitations here, which is due to the legal system and the way you can process people in different sense. So just like Magnus was saying, some things Sweden does really well, some things the United States does really well, but it's good to research these things if you're looking to have a career here, to be aware of certain things and educate yourself in that area, because it will impact the way that you are entrepreneurial here, or the business that you're going into.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's actually very good. Yeah, it's a lot of legal consequences with even going into a job interview. That you're correct. So, you know, again, nothing to say that nothing is better or worse anywhere else, but it's just sometimes good to know these things. And if you want to, and the same thing for some of our, you know, the United States listeners or from other countries, they are interested in Sweden, maybe going there working or opening a business there or collaborating. So they might also want to know how it is working in Sweden, because it is different. I feel that it's different. Thank you. Anything from you, Linus, or you know?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think that American culture celebrates success. And to mention one really positive thing, I remember like coming to college here and for some weird reason doing the best in the class in this one exam. And instead of in Sweden, like it's been almost like a strange thing, like if you were too good, you don't want to share. You were standing up and the class was applauding you. And the teacher was saying, you know, like wrongfully in this case, because I don't think education means, you know, leader later in life, but they would say this is going to be the leader to you. So like, you know, you should give an honor, which is like so different from Sweden, where if you're good in sports, I'm sure Magnus said this all the freaking time, you can't even play good because someone's parents can be coming complaining, you know, hey, don't make my son look stupid. You know, it's like really a different way of like saluting greatness, I think. And I think that comes into business as well. Like I think people allow you to be much bigger and broader and shine more light on yourself and be yourself, because why should we not be all of us? And I know Magnus personally, and you Gudrun as well. Michaela, I don't know you personally, but you feel like a personality. Like that's awesome, that's cool, and that's just more us. So I think the US allows us to be bigger.
Yeah. Yeah. Magnus, sorry, go ahead.
No, I agree with Linus. You know, there's a lot of benefits to coming from a socialistic country where we work more as a group and we pick each other up in a different way, but we also tend to pull each other down a little bit if you stick out too much. So good and bad, you know. But that's how I felt. Just like Linus coming here as well. You get a tap on the shoulder when you're doing something good, or when you're trying to create something and you do have those big dreams and you do stick out and you're trying to break new ground and do something that no one's done before or it's not common. You don't get questioned as much. You actually get, you know, a tap on the shoulder, and that's something I love about the US.
Yeah.
And it even feels like with people's network versus in Europe, you will be like very selected. Here, people want to share. If you're great, they want to introduce you because it looks good for that person introducing you. And I'm sure Magnus can tell about hundreds of these stories when people take pride in referring because they know you're going to do it great. I don't think in Europe that you really go out of your way to present someone else, but why not? You know, that's something I really like with the States, that people want to succeed together.
Yeah, and I think in an important part, and this is just my opinion because I think this is important, so I'm going to just chime in here as well. I love celebrating people, and like what I call when I work for the chamber, you know, we have some of the best members ever, and I truly believe it. But it is important to know, you know, like what Swedes say, which I also agree, that all people are equal. Again, just my opinion, but we're good at different things. So why not celebrate the different things we're good at? One is a superstar in sports or soccer, and another person is really a great business person, and somebody's good at cooking, and it just makes us, we can just collaborate and you know, support each other as a team. But everybody can't be good at everything. So I'm all for supporting it. I love the fact about the United States as well, that it's a celebration when you're accomplishing something or you worked hard for it and you're good. Like all what we do in the chamber as well. I mean, we just celebrated Magnus, and Linus, you were there in person, you know, in December. Why not? Of course we do. We've been doing that award show for 30 plus years now, and I personally love it. It's one of my favorite things, you know, so I think it's really, really good. And, you know, it just, again, it's just a matter of we're good at different things. Why not shine a light on it? That's why you are all three here today, by the way. No shyness about it. I feel proud that I know you, just like Linus said, and I know that if I refer you to anyone in my world and in my network, it's going to make me look good, and it's a win-win. So anyway, I had to share it because that's an important point, and I forgot about it, Linus, so thank you for bringing it up. The Swedes know this. We even have a word for it, jantelagen, but there's no jantelag in the United States, so anyway, then I want to move on because I see the clock is ticking, and I want to save also some of our audience questions for this. I have so many questions, and we were also going to do, I'm going to try to speed this up a little bit. So I'm going to combine a couple of things. Now going back to Linus. So Linus, with all the success, congratulations. With Hästens, you are now opening, you have 3 stores here in Los Angeles, and you're currently in New York opening a store there. You're also hiring, which is, we can announce that for all the people who are looking for work. So that's a great thing. And we will put up how to get in touch with you, or if you want to tell us as well, after this. But what are you looking for, and what is this job position, and what are you now expanding yet again?
Fantastic question. Yeah, right now we have 4 locations, and we plan to have another 3 within the next 12 months. And the only thing holding us back is having amazing people. So when I can, I love to hire Swedish people because I feel like we have a sense of, we just connect in a way, and we have a certain way to see things and do stuff. So if you're Swedish, fantastic. If you're not, I'm still very curious about you. And for us, it's an essence of every person. So our clients are Beyonce, Dr. Dre, Oprah, Tom Hanks. So our goal is to meet people, take them through a half-an-hour session in our sleep spa, to educate them about sleep and find the right instrument for them to sleep the best they can do. So we are, what Magnus is doing much, much deeper, we do that in short sessions. So in essence, allow the person to be their guide and shepherd them in sleep. And we have the best sleep experts in our team, and we are all educated about sleep. So we make that decision for our clients to, in essence, set up their life to be freaking perfect by having the most rejuvenation. So I want fun, badass people that can have fun with people and show them this world.
So if I would work for you here in Beverly Hills and Beyonce comes in, I will take her around for half an hour and talk to her about sleeping, and then have her try Hästens. I might send you a resume, Linus. No, we'll see. That sounds awesome. That's great. I didn't know that was what you were looking for, specifically. So glad to know. Yeah. And you're looking for that in New York as well, right?
New York, Los Angeles, and we're looking at San Francisco and Newport. We're buying a building down in Newport. So OC is a move we're doing as well. So wherever you are, we are interested. We're also starting a new arm on our company where we do Zoom consultations. So even if you are not in one of these cities, we might be something that we can explore anyway.
Okay, great. Wow. And I didn't know about Newport Beach, for all the people. It's just south of Los Angeles, beautiful coastal town, and San Francisco as well. So great. So there should be plenty of things. Okay. Well, we will inform people and let them know. I think that sounds wonderful, and whoever you are, I think. So great. And then to do this again for all of you. Well, Michaela also has something sort of ish that's relating to Los Angeles, since we are based in Los Angeles, correct? So I don't.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're planning to open an office in LA fairly soon, and we definitely need some support there. And we've had tremendous success in the past, having the most amazing people come through the Swedish-American Chamber of Commerce as interns. And currently our marketing and developer manager, she's actually was an intern with us in 2015 and kind of stayed on with the organization, and is now our superstar one of the best people I ever worked with. We're always, just like Linus mentioned too, obviously the Swedish community is fantastic because we work so much with Mentor International and being speak Swedish to our partners, and there's this sense of that you understand each other differently if you're Swedish, but we're obviously always looking for American talent as well. And so I encourage anybody that's interested in staying connected with us to subscribe to our newsletter, go to our social media, and just keep an eye out for these announcements.
Yeah, and you will also have, that's great. And I know Melissa, who you're talking about, who came out of these intern programs and is now a full-time employee for a long time. So you never know. Yeah. And you have a gala coming up as well. So we have to sort of, we're going to also from the chamber, because we support Her Majesty and Mentor International and Mentor USA, obviously, and when we worked in the past together. We will promote that as well. But I encourage everybody to follow everybody online right now, because this is 2020 and everybody has social media and all of that, just so you don't miss out on job opportunities or galas or workouts, you know, new openings everywhere. I think it is important, but probably our audience know all of this. So,
and the gala will be virtual, so anybody who's listening can attend from anywhere, and it'll be a fabulous event. So much fun.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Michaela. So now I'm coming, and the same thing goes for Magnus. I'm just, you know, I might not be able to ask all of these questions for you three now, because I again want to get to some audience questions. But when you are hiring, Magnus, because you are doing this, you know, you're doing your own clothing design with Casal. I've seen them, they're awesome. And you have your app, and you're an entrepreneur, and I know you're going to be one of these people who builds brands and are already having a brand, but like a brand empire worldwide. What are you looking for in people? You know, it might seem like a simple question, but because even if you're not hiring this week, I think all of us can agree that we're always sort of keeping people in the back of our head of, what, you know, that's somebody I want to work with, you know, but what are some of these characteristics possibly, or how, if you ever wanted to work with you, Magnus, if you were anyone anywhere in the world and they said, well, I want to help out, I want to build on this with Casal, or I want to be part of this app, or the gym that or location that you're opening here. Yeah. What would they do? Send a CV, or like, how do they stand out from the rest of the crowd?
Well, first of all, I do have a little team that works for me today. So we're covering a lot of, you know, projects internationally, film projects and tours. And so I have a trainer in Sweden. I have one here in California, and it depends on what position that needs to be filled. But as a trainer or within wellness, I'm looking for passion, drive, someone who's you know, really living that life more than just view it as something cool. I never used the word celebrity trainer. You know, it's not who you train, it's how you train them, if you ask me. So that's important to me. If you're interested to just work with celebrities, I'm not your guy. I'm not going to be your, you know, the one who hooks you up. But I'm looking for people that are interested, driven, and who have a passion for it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, I mean, that's probably good for any line of work, I suppose, to have a
and that's more important than education to me. Anyone can, you know, get certified and get an education. Education's important, but some experience, obviously, you do need experience, but personality, because it's a relationship. Whoever you work with or whoever we are working with, it's a relationship.
Yeah. If and maybe also good, because people will possibly maybe even get a job out of this. If you're an audience and you get a job in any of these three organizations ever this week or in 5 years, please let us know. I would like to know that, but or collaborate or anything, you know, that would be fun. Now, if you do get a job interview for our listeners, because there's a lot of people that is looking for jobs, what are some things that you want to see or don't want to see in a job interview, like sort of pet peeves, like don't do that, or you know, something? Does anyone have anything on that?
I think it's important to come prepared, come research the organization, the position, come with questions. I've had several candidates coming in for interviews, and when it comes to their part to ask questions, they usually don't have any. And I think that's the big mistake you can make, because that's your time to actually show that you have researched them, that you have an interest in this position. I think that's also very important, to actually mention it verbally. I'm very interested in working for you. I'm very interested in this position. So many times it's so nerve-wracking sitting and being interviewed and talking about yourself that you forget why you're there. You forget to mention that, hey, I really want this job. I think I'll be really great at it. So I think it's really good to come prepared and have certain things that you kind of practice in advance, and then the question can come completely different when you're there, but at least you know what you're ready to state when you have your time to ask them questions.
Yeah. Do you ever bring somebody in just based on a CV or a resume, or are they usually always referred by somebody else that you know when you hire? Like Magnus, if you I didn't know that you had a trainer in Sweden, for example, that works for you, because you can't be all over the world, of course, but I really didn't know. When you hired this trainer, was it somebody that you already knew, or how do you do that? Because that's an important part. They're representing you, you know?
Yeah. Well, for me, I run such a small business, so it's different for me. I'm really forced to I mean, I need to know, I need to have a relationship with whoever I bring in.
Yeah.
I need to know that they you know, they have the personality and the experience, and you know, I need to have seen them in action.
Right.
So that's important for me, and it's also hard because it makes it a lot harder to find people.
Yeah. Yeah. But you get good ones, so that's good. And Linus, since you're actively interviewing people, is there, if they do get past the sending in the resume and it looks interesting, like what should they do to stand out when they go on a job interview for Hästens?
I think it's the same thing as like any social context, just being yourself, share who you are, be open. We want to know you. If we're going to make, you know, a bet on someone, we would like to feel like we understand their personality, what drives them, what makes them interested. And I like people working hard. Like, I think that's just fun. Like, start by working hard. You're not going to be the best at something you've never done, so at least be willing to work really hard and have a good attitude. Good attitude, like, comes along. You know, and I like what Michaela saying is like, share that you really want this, but just be a fun person to be around, because life is short. You want to enjoy it. So doing it together with people that have, like, you know, a smile just makes it so much better.
Yes, that's true. So I'm now gonna take a look here for some of these things, our questions that we have. Oh, we have one from our wonderful board member on our chamber, from Jennings. So he says, congrats to all of your success, to all three of you. And when, let's see here, when I'm reading his question. So he's asking about pivotal moments in your career choices. It usually comes down to a big change. Can you remember anything, or an instant, or like a moment where it took that change for you, from maybe, you know, selling the spikmattorna, you know, whatever they're called in English, you know, and realizing that, and then I guess calling Hästens in Sweden and saying, hey, I can bring it to the United States? Or I'm just saying that as what was the moment, maybe for anyone, three of you, to realize, like, this is really what I want to do, or this feels right, let's go, you know?
I'm happy to answer. Like, I think it's just starting a business is really easy. Being successful is really hard. So I think once you actually are feeling that something is working, which takes quite some time, that's very rewarding. Like, and then once you get to a place where something is building, it's an addiction. Like, it's so beautiful to build something and people that you love. Nothing is more fun. I don't have a family yet, so I'm assuming that's going to be one of the fun ones. You know, Magnus is super dad here doing everything. But I think that's like a special thing about building a company. Is the same thing. Like, sharing your life with your friends and creating something is just the absolute best.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Was it something when you realized this, let's say Hästens, since you are very successful with this company, was it a person or was it a moment, or, you know, was it something that somebody did or you did when you got that, like, when it's like I found the right thing, this is it?
Yeah, like you have moments when you do, like, you know, when we have a client place a big order for 400,000 the first time, you're like, wow, I've never seen 400,000 in, you know, for one home before. That gives you like a bigger vision for things. But the thing is, this is 12-year-old business. Every month you have things. Every week you have this pivotal moment. It's just about keep going, and all of a sudden you look back like, wow, I'm not where I started anymore, but you don't see it because it's just constantly finding the key, because you always have a situation. It's always a challenge. It's always something, always. But with time, you know, you learn to have better tools, to be more equipped, and you feel like, you know, something happened over time.
Yeah.
But it's a constant fun challenge.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it is I think it is because when you're in it, you might not notice it as well, you know, compared to if you can look out from the outside in. So I get that. We have another question as well from Eric, as well, that I know, that is here in Los Angeles, and he's saying, you know, Sweden is such a wonderful country. First of all, that's good. For all of us, I agree. I love Sweden, hence why I'm doing this. And he's continuing with his question, saying it also has a great healthcare system, as an example, among other things. I'm wondering if any of you three panelists have ever contemplated of retiring in Sweden because of what Sweden provides.
I can chime in here too. I think Sweden has some great things with education and healthcare, but I do think if you have the opportunities here and you have the necessary means of having healthcare here, it's quite fantastic too. I'm comparing, you know, not to put some blame on Sweden, but I know that, for example, my aunt struggled with cancer, and it took her 3 months to even get the surgery. My neighbor had cancer here, and it took him 1 day to get the surgery after he was diagnosed. So I think there's some great benefits overall in Sweden with healthcare, the accessibility for everybody. But if you have something really well set up here that you've worked for, that there's a lot of greatness with that too. So I think I probably always will be going back to Sweden with my children, my family, to see everybody, but I don't think I will be retiring in Sweden. I think probably maybe somewhere else around the world.
It's probably too early for any one of you to think about retirement. I think we're just, you know, like, we are like, that's like, you know, way in the future.
I agree, and another thing is that life can change really quickly. So it's hard to know where your mind will be in 5 years from now. And for me, it's going to be a family decision. I have a Swedish wife and 3 kids, so you know, for me, it's always going to be a family decision. I love coming to Sweden, but in a perfect world, I'll be there, you know, a couple of months during the summer, and I'll come back here. I love it here, so I wouldn't mind retiring here.
Okay, great. Linus, have you thought about it yet, or not so much?
I haven't really thought about it, but I'm super happy here, and I think the US is just so fun, and I think Sweden is great too, but I think to me US feels like home. I've been here now for almost as long as when I moved to Sweden. And for many years in the beginning, I didn't even go back. So I feel super grateful being Swedish, and I love Sweden, but the US feels like home to me.
Yeah, no, it's you know, it's all of these different things, and it's hard to know what the future will have for us. I actually have also another question from Anna, who is wondering if you have any tips on how to expand your network or get in contact with clients. Like, how do you market yourself, or do you have any tips on that? And you know, how do you network? And maybe that is a twofold question as well. She writes as well further down, because, well, we've been in this COVID-19 scenario worldwide, so that's a little tricky if you already not have a network. You know, one way is actually to attend something like this. I think we all feel that we know a little bit more about each other, and then maybe when Anna is coming to one of our networking sessions or another things that we're doing, or attending Michaela's fancy gala in August or something, you know, I guess that's how you can do it even online. But any other tips in regards to this thing? Some people are just very good at networking, and some people need some clues about it. Like, what do you do?
Gudrun, there's this great movie called Yes Man with Jim Carrey, which I think is, you know, is just a beautiful example of what will happen when you say yes to new opportunities. And it could be the simplest thing as attending a webinar or going to somebody's gathering for business that might not interest you originally. If you're a young professional, you should be out and do these things on a regular basis as often as possible. Once you have family and other commitments, you have to be more selective. But just saying yes to being at a certain time, certain place that might not interest you immediately, you might meet somebody there that could take your career to the next level. I've done that and it's worked fabulous. So just saying yes to opportunities. Sometimes invitation comes without you knowing why they come. So I'm a strong believer in saying yes instead of no when it comes to the unknown and certain opportunities.
I agree. I love that answer. Just watched Yes Man with the kids a couple of weeks ago, and I think you're so right. Say yes, do things, put yourself in situations you wouldn't normally do. You know, say yes to that dinner with the friend you don't really know that well, and you know, you end up somewhere where you didn't expect. That's important. And then I think that your job lead the way. Make sure that's something we have as Swedes, that we like to you know, show what we can do through our work action before we talk, and that's always important too. It's one thing to go out and network and you know, talk all you want, but it's also super important to deliver and show what you can do when you get that opportunity.
Great. Yeah, that's good. I know I'm calling you all next week, and I'm expecting yes in all my requests. No, I'm gonna slightly remind you of the, you know, Yes Man movie. So no, I believe in the same thing. So thank you, and thank you for sharing. That's great. And I think, yeah, why not? You know, moving swiftly along, because I do have now more questions than I know that we're going to be able to answer here, and something else just came in as well. Robert in Malibu is wondering, do any of you see a change in the globalization paradigm in the sense of business and cultural relations? Does that make sense to anyone?
During COVID or just like?
Yeah, I think, and that's actually a question from one of our other listeners or that's partaking in this webinar. I think it is during COVID, because that's where we are right now. Obviously, there's a whole global community, and it's easier and yet sometimes more difficult to do business. But just the fact that we have this, and this is going worldwide, and we have many of listeners very proud that SACC-LA has a global audience, so to speak. But maybe in conjunction with Robert's question, we can also answer this other question from another viewer that just sent it in, to me, that it's also saying with COVID-19 and the pandemic, which is a pandemic, so it's worldwide, do you see this? Is this going to be the new normal, or are we going to go back to seeing each other in person? I mean, maybe, like, for example, Magnus, you are in the wellness business, on so many levels. I mean, we might have to have webinars with each one of you to just fully grasp all the wonderful things you're doing. And then, because I'm thinking of that with you, Magnus, it's not just training again, it's so many other things, and it's mental health, and it's nutrition, and it's all about making the human just feel better, and reaching the capacity and everything that we can do in all levels. But for example, for you with this, sure, people can train on your app, but at some point we all got to train in person. And Magnus, just for everybody, he trains everybody, on whatever level that you're at. Why I am bragging and saying celebrity trainer is that he does have some celebrities, so he does that, and he flies around the world. He's very humble and trains them, but he trains everybody, just to make that clear. It's not that you are limited. And including helping everybody to eat correct and gain confidence and self-esteem and all of that. I love the fact that you have encompasses all of it. But if you now leave for a movie, like you do a lot, or you work a lot in the music industry as well, what will you do? Because it's been COVID-19. Is this an opportunity, or is it going to work, Magnus? Do you know?
Well, I don't have all the answers. I know that we're going to go back to the new normal. The old normal doesn't exist anymore, but I wouldn't be scared. People need to meet with people. We always, as human beings, we need the face-to-face, the one-on-one. So we are going to go back to the new normal. I think during this time that we have learned a lot. I think that we're now know that we can Zoom instead of getting together every once in a while. There's a lot you can do from home. But there's also now you can start measuring deaths and heart attacks because people are not moving. People that are not, they're mentally or feel mentally down. Now you can start seeing the suicides going up. So we're not made to be stuck at home. We need to get out there. We need to take our lives back, and we are going to do that. I think you can see that it's about to happen. So I think that we have hopefully we have been forced to develop and grown, and we've found new things and new ways to do things, but we are going to go back. And I'm on a big movie project that got paused during COVID, and that got picked up last week. So in a few weeks I'll be traveling to Belfast, Northern Ireland, and so the world is slowly getting back to the new normal. Yeah. What that looks like, we don't really know, but I hope that we care more about each other now, that the world is a better place.
Yeah, maybe, yeah, well put, Magnus. Thank you, really, thank you. And I agree with you. Maybe there is a way of, with the new normal, that we actually appreciate things and each other, things that we maybe took for granted before. Meeting in person, it's just one thing, but you took it rather for granted, and doing a lot of things that we couldn't. So maybe coming back to the new normal, maybe that's one thing, among a lot of other things, obviously. Just before we end, we have a lot of other questions. We will try also, and they're rolling in now. We're supposed to end in 2 minutes. Oh no, I want to ask everybody, all these questions. If we don't get to them, hopefully we can get some answers, and we will, again, from the Swedish-American Chamber of Commerce, we will promote all of these people, wonderful, and their companies and all of that, and you can see how you can get a hold of them to apply for jobs, or just say hi or thank you or whatever it is. But before we leave, because I won't get through all of that, and I apologize to our audience because there's a lot of them rolling in. You can't see it, but I can see it on my screen. What is, to all three of you, really quickly, what's your favorite part of your jobs? Like favorite, like one thing that stands out that you love about it.
Working with people, with the youth and working with the people.
Okay. Yep.
I think it's like so fun getting to know people, like spending an hour on a consultation or 2 hours and having the chance to meet the most interesting people in the world and connect with them and making their life even better. So fun. And doing it with a team, building a team is like, my team is the funnest and the best. We're having such a good time. So that's really, really fun.
Thank you.
I agree with Linus. I think it's fantastic to have an opportunity to meet, you know, people that are best at what they do, and they're driven and creative, and I really love taking people from, as I said before, darkness to light. Building a superhero is not that, but a majority of what I do is actually helping people to feel better and be happy. And I love that.
I agree with you, Magnus, and I know people that you know, we have in common friends, and I know people that work with you and collaborate, and it's not at all about that. That's why I wanted to have you on, and that's also why our board voted for you to get this award in December, because it's not about that. It's the whole message that you spread among people. And again, I love anything that goes from darkness to light. So I'm in complete agreement there. And the same thing with wonderful Michaela. You know, thank you for everything that you're doing and working so hard for Mentor. I think it is one of the best organizations that I've come across, and especially since it helps everyone, but it focuses on youth. And especially now, youth have had such a big problem, like Magnus is bringing up, stuck at home. Unfortunate suicide rates are up, and you know, substance abuse and all of these things. And I know that Michaela is working hard to try to help with that, you know, specifically for everybody, but specifically for youth. And a big thank you to Her Majesty Queen Silvia of Sweden, who started this organization because of her passion for the same thing. I couldn't be more humble. It is, after all, our queen, but she's also a person that contributes with a lot of good things. And I think that's important to acknowledge as well, and what Mentor International is doing for the rest of the world. So thank you for being here, Michaela, and for what you're doing. And the same thing with Linus, for everything and your big enthusiasm. When we met, I felt exactly that. You really took your time. We had a meeting on one of your Hästens bed in the store here in Los Angeles. I'll never forget, because it's the first meeting I have ever had on a bed, a business meeting, which was quite fun and put an impression on me, you know, obviously. So you're doing a lot of things, and I'm so glad that you're doing well. And I think we should all celebrate each other, that we are healthy and here and can spread a lot of goodwill among everybody in whatever area that we're doing. So with the message of from darkness to light, let us stay in light. I thank you, all three of you, really, for taking the time. And I really, really want to thank our audience as well. It means a lot to us that you take the time and tune in, and you support the chamber, and you support our panelists and all good things. I hope you all will thrive and get your dream jobs. And please let me know when you do, and that you're happy and content with life in whatever area. So happy Tuesday, and we'll see each other, I hope, very soon.
Thank you. Thanks, Gudrun.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.